These wellness parties and this concept is becoming quite popular now. What if we created something like this for other people? We'll go, we'll do a run, we'll do ice bath, sauna, everything. When you want to build a community, you have to start with the first 10, right? You have to satisfy the need of a smaller group of people. I don't want it that every time I have to socialize with someone, it's like, let's get drinks. What makes a space premium is the community, how they interact with each other. Gym models in America were large gym spaces, and then there was the boutique fitness booth.
Making people interact together with like-minded folks is an opportunity.
Community-driven activities, period. It's the best time in the world to get into fitness. You like cycling, launch a spin studio. You like Pilates and like specialized training like that, you launch a Pilates studios. There's a huge demand for that. I do believe that at some stage that's going to come back and bite you in the butt.
How big is Knox in terms of clients?
Close to 350 active clients that go between both studios. Most people will be on a 30-session package. They're paying anywhere between 2,500 to 3,000 per session that they walk in. The way we're looking to scale now is to work not exactly towards a franchisee model. We're really looking at pushing a franchisee owned but a company operated model.
Hanji, welcome to Discover with Singh. This is the conversation with Ishan Lal, who's the co-founder of Knox. They're building fitness studios and trying to break into the world of boutique fitness in India and develop the industry for other startups to come in. ये conversation बड़ी purpose के साथ करी गई है. पहला पर्पस ये है कि हम समझे कि नॉक्स का बिजनेस मॉडल कैसे काम करता है और उसमें से बाकी बिजनेसेस और अपकमिंग फाउंडर्स क्या सीख सकते हैं. सेकेंडली डिस्कस करें कि इन टुडेज इंडस्ट्री ऑफ health and wellness, what are the upcoming startups that have come in that can be leveraged by you and me? Thirdly, also discuss on what are the white spaces that lie in this area, जो कि हमने काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग आइडियाज़ डिस्कस करे, जिसके बारे में आपको और मेरे को दोनों को सोचना चाहिए. लास्टली, ईशान बीइंग अ रनर हिमसेल्फ, हमने ये डिस्कस करा है कि इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ राइजिंग AQIs कैसे रनर्स अपनी स्पीड्स और डिस्टेंसेस इंप्रूव कर सकते हैं. सो विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी मोर टाइम, लेट्स हेड इनटू द कन्वर्सेशन.
I don't have a long attention span. So I won't sit with an idea to the point that I can write it out to its fullest degree. So if I get something that really clicks with me, I've got to write it down immediately. It can be type, it can be text. Like a lot of times I'll just use notes because a lot of times sometimes I don't have access to a pen or paper. And for me, I don't ideate when I'm sitting to ideate. Ideas come to me randomly. Right?
That's right.
So what's the most accessible thing when an idea comes randomly is your notes section. That's where it goes in. And then I have to action it immediately also because the idea, it's a concept that stays there. If you lose it, then it goes. Then even like nothing can bring it back, right? To the same degree that you had it then. So I just try and jot down those singular points that will make it trigger or click for me in the same way, right? Like the idea for Sunrise Social also, right? I had made a reel for myself, which was my birthday. So my 31st birthday. I never celebrate my birthday, but I was like, this year I want to do something. So what I do is I want to do the things I like to do on my birthday. So I woke up early. I went for a run with my friends. We came back to my house. We did an ice bath together. We ate breakfast, made coffee for everyone, had that, took a nap, called my friends over at 1 o'clock, had a party from like 1 o'clock till like 8:39. All my friends left at 9. After that, went to bed by 10 p.m., mouth tape, nose thing, everything on, passed out. I was like, what a great day, right? So then I was just sitting on my, like I just happened to open that reel for myself and I was like, this would be a very cool event concept, right? Like this is the stuff I like to do.
So that's how it was.
Yeah. So I was like, this is what I like to do, right? These wellness parties and this concept is becoming quite popular now. So what if we created something like this for other people? And when the idea came to me, it was like, I don't know if it's going to be a good idea. So when I immediately, how I put it into words was the idea came, I typed an email to the Knox team that, hey guys, I had this idea for an event, we should do it. Just sent the email out. So I'm like, now it's not just mine, it's out in the ether. I've put it to other people and I've conceptualized it to a degree that, we'll go, we'll do a run, we'll do, ice bath, sauna, everything, and we'll create a day out of it. And when we put out the first few posts and we got the kind of response that we did, I was like, wow, I didn't realize so many people are looking for this. I was trying to create something that I like to do, right? Which I like to sleep on time. I do like to socialize. I like to meet people, but I don't like that meeting people is always based on alcohol or drinking or partying, right? Why can't you have a way of interacting and socializing where you actually feel good the next day? So it was a very satisfying process because I created something that I like and it turns out that other people liked it as well, which was fun.
It was fun to watch also. I mean, I would have, very interesting to see from the outside also. Really missed being a part of that.
Yeah.
But Yeah, glad that came out your idea and it's been loved really well.
Correct, right? So I feel like this was and it created this like inspiration also within me. I don't know, I was like on this different high after it happened. I was like telling people like if you really feel like doing something and it speaks to you, you should go for it. Things work out, things like that. So it's quite fun and sweet like that as well. But yeah, so now obviously found a little niche that people want more stuff like this. So plan to do many more of those
Hmm.
going forward and more concepts like these, right? So the concept that we tested and kind of got approval for was, hey, people like hanging out in the morning. People don't mind waking up early and coming for a social gathering, right? And hanging out with each other. So there are multiple ways to like fuel that, right? Coffee house raves were obviously becoming a thing, but there are levels to that, right? Why aren't entire spaces dedicated to this? Why isn't there a better way to interact with each other?
Hmm.
Because day partying is otherwise just called networking. Why do you want to call networking? You don't have a party out of it. So yeah, that was that.
But that's a very fun way you've also got people together. It's also cool.
Yeah.
You're missing the cool element because as you talk about, parties and alcohol, it's something needs to be cool for, that to be followed. And I think that made it pretty cool. Like I had FOMO of not joining in to that day, right? But now tell me a little bit more about, let's get in a little background of Knox,
Okay.
how you're building it, and then we'll probably get into this discussion even more deeper.
Okay. Sure. So Knox kind of launched in the middle of COVID.
Mm.
The initial concept, like it wasn't like some perfectly thought out plan that, this is the concept, it's going to kill it. It kind of just happened. So it was, let's say, a bunch of trainers. Some had their own clients who kind of came together, put the space together, and was like, okay, fine. It was like a community gym. So, we were friends. A few of us were not trainers, so they wanted a space for themselves to train and for their friends to come train. So kind of took up this tiny basement in Lajpat Nagar, built out the original like concept, and then people like myself came in bit by bit, invested, right? That hey, we'll put in some money in, because this seems like a cool concept. We just want to be a part of it. And initially, when we were running it, it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna grow it, and we're gonna make something out of it. It was just this fun community gym concept that hey, we'll go there, we take sessions, uh, and the other people, for them it was a cool new place to come work out. And the the response that we ended up getting was is that we had a really good group of first people who came into the space. And these people were fit, they were influential in their own way, and we would post stories and content around them. And fortunately, the people that we brought together were all people like myself and the other trainers who are passionate about fitness. So the way that they were able to teach and kind of take the clients to the next level, that was then being represented on our Instagram. So there were people coming to our space. They were doing animal flow, which was
Yes.
brand new at that stage. It was interesting. It caught the eye. It's like, what is this? It's not dance. It's not movement. It looked good. And we had really fit people executing it and looking good while doing it. So that kind of created a FOMO that, hey, I want to go learn this. But at the base of it all is that the coaches who were in the space were really great, right? Because again, these were passionate, driven coaches, and that was infectious. So people come into the space, you're surrounded by maybe at that time there were only like 5, 6 of us coaches, super passionate about training. The people coming into the space also, it was a relatively higher ticket price. So if you were willing to pay that, you were really invested in your fitness. So whoever walked in was walking into this sort of community of people who were driven towards fitness. The coaches side, really passionate, upskilling themselves constantly, learning about the latest in health and fitness. And from a client side, people who were willing to experiment, wanting to take their fitness to the next level, and not just an uncle who's going to the gym कि मेरे को डॉक्टर ने बोला कि वर्कआउट करना है मेरे को हाथ पैर हिला दो, right? These people were genuinely interested. And when you pick onto a niche like that, right, you get your first, we always say when you want to build a community, you have to start with the first 10, right? You have to satisfy the need of a smaller group of people. That's what you did. And then purely word of mouth. Like we did not spend any marketing, like any money on marketing at all. It was purely people come into space and you have to come, just telling other people you have to go come, you have to check out the trainers, you have to just, check out the vibe, the Knox vibe that we kind of push out there, which is this weird term in the ether, but that's what really pulls people in, right? This community of fitness driven, wellness driven people all in one space. Uh, like our space is, it's not the most like phenomenal. It's not like a huge, 10,000 square foot gym with like, extravagant equipment or anything like that, right? Our equipment is very basic. Our setup is very basic. It's very aesthetically done because we try to be a design forward brand, and that definitely helped. And but in terms of like facilities, it's not like you can go get better facilities at a bigger gym, but you can't get the same community and vibe at a bigger gym, right? And it's kind of what we've executed by chance is this concept of boutique fitness.
Yeah.
Right. When we think of boutique, it's like, okay, fine. You have, when people think boutique, what is the first thing they think of? Hotels, right? If I think, oh, I'm going to stay at, I'm going somewhere boutique, the first thing that comes to mind is a hotel. Now, what is the difference between a large hotel and a boutique hotel? A boutique hotel will have 20, 30 rooms, specialized food.
Yeah.
They'll put a lot of effort, like a high-end boutique hotel, they put a lot of effort into the experience. They put a lot of effort into the aesthetic. So they'll have, whereas large hotels have standard aesthetics, the boutique hotels will try and get like a fun designer. Like a good example is like Anvea, right? Which is a boutique hotel in Delhi, or Ras, which is one we've partnered with in the past. They have their own aesthetic. But what that creates is a very different experience for the person who's going in there,
Yep.
right? You go in there, you see the same staff all the time. You become friends with the other guests because the space in which you interact is smaller. Boutique hotels tend to not be in larger cities, and they tend to be like a little bit removed, where you go enjoy the property and you're on the property, right? So it's a small ecosystem, but it's a very like interactive ecosystem. Same thing with gyms, right? Instead of having a large sprawling gym where I'm walking in, I've got my headphones on, I've got my earpods on, I'm doing my own workout, maybe I'll interact with someone, but actually I'm trying to avoid the other person, right? That's the traditional gym model.
Yeah.
Boutique fitness, completely different. So even though it's not that size and you're not getting that many facilities, one, you can still keep it premium. How do you keep it premium? One is the aesthetics of the space. The second is the community. What makes a space premium is the community, how they interact with each other, right? And then the third part of it is obviously what you're teaching there. If I can get really high quality training, right, or a training program that I can execute, I can still charge that higher ticket price, right? This shift happened in America as well. So initially, traditional models, gym models in America were large gym spaces. And then there was what was called the boutique fitness boom, right? Where brands such as Barry started coming out. There's Soul Cycle. There was, Soul Cycle Rumble. There's Core Yoga, which is another chain of, boutique fitness studios in California. And they started to steal a large chunk of the market share of large gyms. And this is exactly what they achieved. They achieved community. They had specialized workouts. If I'm going to Barry's, I know what my workout is. I'm getting on a treadmill for half the time. I'm working off the treadmill half the time. I have a super energetic instructor. I have my Barry's community, right? If I go at 5 p.m. for my Barry's class in X location, is a good chance the same people are showing up or similar people are showing up. So now I'm hanging out with the same people. I'm working out with the same people. The way the instructors run the class, they're also making sure I interact with other people, right? So now I not only go to Barry's to work out, I go to Barry's to hang out. I go there because I have my friends there, right? And that community concept is what really started to pull people towards boutique fitness, right? Same thing here, right? Nobody in India, boutique fitness, relatively untapped. We've kind of stumbled upon it just by happening to have opened a small space. But now I feel going forward, the future for people who want to move into the fitness space, it's a real possibility, right? In America, a guy who's passionate about fitness his entire life, he opens a warehouse, has a gym for himself. You didn't do that in India earlier, right? You thought in order to open a gym, I need the most prime location, I need, all the best equipment in the world. You don't actually need that. What you need is a good understanding of training, a good way of delivering specialized training, and knowing how to build a community, right? So I think that's a great lesson that people can sort of extract from what Knox has achieved.
Fab. Why I love what you're saying and what I'm hearing is that this also makes me draw a parallel. You just talked about the Sunrise Social
Yeah.
Club that you did, for a day. And again, the problem that you solved was a community thing that you did together, which is something around you love, right? Which is fitness, which is in general a good thing for people to, follow, come into. And again, the space that you've broken in is Knox. I think this whole space of getting people together, doing something fun, creating a vibe, into making people interact together with like-minded folks, is an opportunity in general, not just related to the world of fitness, right? So that right now sparks to me as a great space to ideate as you also talk, and that's what and you've hit the very core with the Sunrise Social Club. That's why I think you've seen a lot of response to that, because yes, Knox is doing that from a longer term perspective, but for people who've not committed to it that long, would see and want to commit to it, probably have seen Sunrise Social as, damn, this is someplace I want to be, because they've sold with the idea of Knox. They've just not invested that much time or money in themselves, but they see this weekend or a Sunday as a fab thing to do, that exercise with the people they like. So I think it's a great space that you stumbled upon, as you said, and I think opens up my brain to think about this space at large, because जैसे आपने बोला कि वो America's seen that.
Mhm.
I think it'll happen. Then it's nowhere in India in that case. What do you what how big do you think this is getting now in India?
Yeah.
Community driven fitness or boutique fitness.
See, community driven activities, period. Like you
Yeah.
said, right? What is Sunrise Social? It is appealing to a bunch of people who are like, you know what, we're tired of having to drink or have all our social activities based around something, right? And it's cool now. Earlier it was
Yeah.
cool to go to a club. This is cool now,
Yeah.
right? So community driven experiences is what's going to happen. I think in terms of what the scale of something like this is possible, the weirdest and the funnest example of this that I can think of is a Coldplay concert, right? You take a Coldplay concert. A Coldplay concert is let's just say the goat of what a community activity is,
Yes.
right? I was not a Coldplay fan, right? My friend called me. He's like, "Oh, I have tickets for Coldplay. You want to go?" I was like, "Sure, let's see." Right? I'm like, I don't get what the hype is all about. I know a few Coldplay songs, but it's not like I'm in love with Coldplay songs, right? So she's like, "No, come, we'll go together." And I went for it, and to the 60, 70,000 people in that stadium, right? You never, and the way they've just conducted it, right? It's like you go and you feel at one with 70,000 people, right? That is an extremely powerful experience, right? We are all here for one thing, right? And, they have those lighting bands that they light up together and, they create the vibe of the place. And you're like, I'm a part of this experience, right? I'm a part of this group. I don't know a single person I went with other than the friend I went with, right? It's not like I made friends there. But for that 2 hours that I was there, I felt like I was connected to a large group of people, right? Through this shared experience, which was Coldplay. So it's not that I have to be a Coldplay fan when I move into it, right? It's this opportunity of creating shared experiences for people. So, like a lot of people who came for Sunrise Social Club, they were not runners. Well, at the start, I did a show of hands, like how many people run, how many people are not runners, right? I think 30% of people have actually run before, and 70% of people hadn't run before.
Wow.
They still showed up for an event that starts with a run
The
at
run.
8 a.m. Because they're like, I see this community, like you said, yes, it's cool. What they're doing is interesting, right? I can see the appeal of it.
Yes.
I'm looking for an experience where I can go connect with people, right? And if you create valuable experiences where people are like, hey, I can plug into this, then there is huge scope for you to create something as well, right? So think, right? Think of things you like that you actually give you a sense of fulfillment. Yeah. Right. And build something around it. And I feel like that there's a good chance other people are going to resonate with that. Obviously, you have to put it out in the right way. You have to market it, all of that.
Yeah.
But if the idea or that I did this activity, it creates a lot of fulfillment. Like, you know what, I love cycling in the mountains, right? I'm going to create a community that goes cycling in the mountains, right? And you just represent how you enjoy it. I can guarantee you'll find the people to join. I will join it. I don't cycle in the mountains, but the concept that, hey, that's going to be amazing, right? I'll go for it just to experience it. So now, at least in India, we're getting more and more people who are looking for experiences. They're open to new experiences. And you brought up the concept of cool. Wellness is now cool.
Yeah.
Right. So anything that's built around wellness concepts will inherently be cool. If I'm doing something to look after myself, right, it's apparently, according to a lot of memes, a green flag, right? Like, you're putting effort into yourself. It's a green flag. So now I'm going for this event, and rather than numbing myself to what I'm experiencing, and trust me, I'm nothing against alcohol, right? I drink once in a while, right? I'm not saying alcohol is bad every time. I go for weddings. I drink every couple of weeks or so. So it's not like I don't drink.
Yeah.
But the opportunity to create alternatives. I don't want it that every time I have to socialize with someone, it's like, let's get drinks, right? Let's go for a sunrise social. Let's go for a comedy show. Let's go cycling together. Let's go running together, right? And the rise of things like run clubs are just a testament to that, right? No one's going to pick up girls at the club. They're going to pick up girls at Bhag Run Club, right?
I think they're going to reel around that.
Yeah. So it's just, they're popping up everywhere. I feel the younger generation especially is shifting. Younger generation, I don't know why I sound like an old man, but you are 24. I'm saying, like, let's say sub 25 and so are less interested in the schmancy ordering a bottle with the full jadis at a club, which I hate that. So but and more interested in kind of that the aspiration used to be getting a table at a club. Now the aspiration is like being fitter, being healthier, investing time and money in your wellness, which is just fantastic. I love that, right? That the world has moved in that direction.
You're contributing to it, bro,
Thank you.
as we speak. I think great points made. That's a great area that we're getting into. Let's get deeper into the health and wellness space. You're very passionate about it. You're very optimistic about it. And as it's growing, as it's becoming cooler, what are the specific areas that people can venture out and say as a founder, or what are the open spaces that you see? Even when we say health and wellness, it's pretty broad,
Yeah.
right? There's specifics that we can talk about that we were talking about as well. So I want you to bring in that element of what specific avenues do you see within the health and wellness space?
Honestly, right now, at least where India is at, that the white everything in health and wellness is a white space. It is so undertapped, especially in India, that everything is an open space for people to explore. Right? There is one Knox with two centers, right? Who is the only kind of competitor like similar to someone like a Boxfit. But there is no one else. You can build a cool concept, right? Now Pilates studios are coming up, spin studios are coming up, uh, aqua fitness, right? There are so many different forms within fitness itself. It's just pure fitness, right?
Yeah.
That you can explore. And you would say that of all the things in health and wellness, fitness is probably the most saturated. But it's even that is hardly saturated. There is so much scope within this, right? Specialized forms of training. So you want to get into fitness, it's the best time in the world to get into fitness. You like cycling, launch a spin studio. You like Pilates and recovery, and Pilates and like specialized training like that, you launch a Pilates studios. There's a huge demand for that because more and more people are moving into that. Now, if you want to start to move into categories that are a little bit less explored in health and wellness, it's recovery, mental health, right? I'll give you an example, right? Like I started going to therapy mostly for personal development. I wanted to go to therapy. And in order to find a therapist, it was extremely challenging, right? How you find a therapist is you go to your friend who you think goes to therapy and you're like, hey, can you recommend someone? And they send you one person's number and you message that person and they send you 10 phone numbers, right? Saying, hey, sorry, I'm busy, but I'll share some numbers, you try it. You message all 10 of those numbers, all 10 of them will say the same thing. Hey, sorry, I'm busy. I have a wait list for X amount of time. We'll get in touch with you, share some numbers. And they share the same 10 numbers again, right? So I did it. I wanted to do it just for personal development. So I wasn't pushing on it. So I reached out to each and every one. And the first one that got back to me, I went with them, right? So it's severely unorganized. That is definitely a space where I feel someone can come in and create some organization and provide value to people because it was a very interesting thing I saw that they were, that there was that astrology app, right, where they connect you to an astrologer and, apparently it was doing insane revenue.
It's called Astro, I think.
I think Astro, right? And the whole concept is that people are so gravitating towards Astro, not because it's actually providing you astrology. It's because this person is giving you optimistic things for you to think about your life. He's acting as your therapist, right? So there are a lot of people out there with mental illness, and as it becomes more and more accepted, right, they're going to start to move towards, actual forms of, like finding solutions, which is hopefully seeing a therapist and not going to an astrologer thinking that that is a better alternative to try and find mental peace, right? So that's obviously there. And then another very cool space that is, a little bit more tech heavy and, is the recovery space, right? So, I mean, obviously cold plunges and all are becoming a thing. Uh, it's marketed as a recovery tool. My honest view on cold plunges is it doesn't really help with recovery that much. It helps with soreness, but it's more just like a feel-good thing. That's my best understanding of it. But it is just an indicator of people looking for recovery-based things. So saunas, cold plunges, all kinds of new therapies that are coming up that can be brought to India, the around recovery and wellness or longevity, right? That's the other space as well. So recovery and longevity often tend to work hand in hand,
Right.
because longevity is all about slowing down the pace of aging, and recovery is also a lot about how am I going to optimize my body's ability to rebuild itself, right? So they kind of work hand in hand. So longevity and recovery together is also a very cool space that is yet to be kind of fully utilized in India. um, Other than that, nutrition in terms of what's available out there. I feel uh, if you're someone who's interested in F&B, uh, moving into food spaces that offer healthy eating options, even though there are, brands like Parafit and all of these that are coming up, right? I still feel like there is a lot of scope for a lot more in that area, right? Because I remember when at least I lived abroad for multiple years. I was in Australia, and the kind of options that you would have for healthy eating, even if you were not eating at home, was great. So whether it's pre-packaged meals or just a restaurant that offers good healthy options, right, where you're putting down the calories of the food that you're eating, you're putting down the nutritional value of the food that you're eating, I think definitely is an area that could be explored. And I'm just listing out things I want people to do, basically, right? I'm just listing out products that I would like to see. Like, what would I love to see in Delhi? More Pilates studios, right? I did Pilates for the first time. It was great, but I tried to book one session one day. I called 4 centers. They were all booked out, right? I opened Zomato. I want some healthier eating options, but I'm like, it's a little bit limited, right? And Mumbai actually has more options. I think I went to Kitchen Garden by Suzette, and these concepts are doing really well there. So that's something I would like to see. Would I like another recovery space that maybe offers, affordable wellness therapies? 100%, right? So these are the kind of things you call them white spaces, or you could say Ishan spaces, where he just wants you to come and fill them. So he has a product to use. But yeah, those are the kind of areas that I would like to see a little bit more.
That's the white space because Ishan and 1 lakh other people also want that. So that's the white space and there's demand.
Correct.
Then, right. Makes sense, man. If you're not doing Knox, say, I think you've also listed a lot of ideas. So mera puchna is futile ki if you were to say start a startup right now, what would that be as another idea? I think you'll pick one of these.
So, if I were to do something else and it was not in the wellness space,
Let's take
so one thing a problem that I would really like to solve, especially in this country, that would solve a massive problem for me is like in nutraceuticals. So I would love to start a brand that is very trust forward in terms of nutraceuticals. So right now, a lot of the supplements I order end up ordering them for my brother who lives in the States. It's just because the kind of testing and the kind of transparency of the products that you're buying here is not great. So I would love to build a let's say a nutraceutical brand that would really put forward trust and build trust through whatever mechanism that is, right? Like there are multiple ways to build trust, associate with the right people who are trustworthy people, get the right licenses, get the right testing done. I think like a YouTube channel I came across very recently, which I really, really liked was this guy had a channel called Trustified. And all he does is he gets supplements, he tests them, right? And he posts the results. Now, I've also heard people say that he's a bit of a scam, but at least he's trying to push authenticity. He's trying to solve a real problem, which is, I don't trust nutraceuticals here. And second aspect of this that I would like to do is, the concept, like what you're selling. So instead of selling supplements that are based on, like the ingredient, it focuses on the problem it's trying to solve. Because a lot of people don't know what to take for particular issues, right? So, I mean, you started now getting, sleep mixes and stuff like that, but problems are endless, right? People have lots of problems. Some people should be taking certain supplements for their PCOS, PCOD, or, some people like me are into running, right? The stressors that are placed on the body of a person like me because I'm running X amount is going to be different from another person. So that's like a cool thing that I would love to do, and it would just be fun to do. And who knows, maybe at some stage we'll
You may.
uh
Alongside Knox, you may one day.
maybe let's see once we have time and space, potentially. But that's at least a problem that I would like to solve. And yeah, I think in other areas, definitely healthy food, like I brought up earlier,
Yeah.
is something that I would love to do. Something that does farm to table at a larger scale, right? Where you're able to pull out fresh organic produce and provide it to people at a reasonable scale. That would also be something that I would love to do, because we have a family farm over there. We grow organic vegetables. So in my house, we eat only organic vegetables, right? And I would love for that to be at a place that I can order in from as well. So another sort of area that would interest me.
Interesting. You have a lot of good ideas to give away.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I want people to do these things, right? Because uh, I hate seeing anything as a zero-sum game, right? Especially the way India is as a space right now. There's space for everyone to win, right? I was not like, I mean, I want to do a podcast at some stage, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I need to compare. I can't, I have to compete with this podcast, right? Like, you're going to provide value in your way. There's going to be people providing value in other ways. It's not everyone vying for the same thing. We have a billion plus people with a billion different problems because everyone's life is different, right? And you find your own market to address and address it in your own unique way. And there's more than enough money, success, and happiness for everyone to find.
I think, do you see a lot of founders do that?
Do what?
Do over obsessive about competing when it's not a zero sum game?
Yes and no. There are some people who are very like secretive and like, oh, I can't show you this or this and that. And I mean, I understand it as well, because whenever you are kind of running a business, especially if you take money from other people, you have a responsibility not only to yourself but to others as well, right? And that case, if the people you take money from have different views, you are influenced by that. So I don't want to say that, hey, you're overly obsessed with these sort of things, but uh, you have all kinds of people, right? I personally believe that you have to live by your own principles, right? You have to set out principles that you are comfortable living with. So even if you are a founder who's getting investors on board, you should be very clear with at least how you operate, right? Instead of, I think sometimes I get lost when you get too salesman-y, right? And you're trying to just give the other person what they want and make them hear what they want rather than speaking your truth. But I do believe that at some stage that's going to come back and bite you in the butt, right? So try and be, at least at the start, as authentic to who you are and what your values are. And ideally have people on board who resonate with the same values that you have, because that, I think, is what breaks anything apart the most, is when you get people working together who have vastly different value systems, right? And it's not to say one value system is better than the other, right? Some people are sharky, who like, very cutthroat. Some people really like to put the people first, right? Like, I value as a human being, and for me, relationships are just as important as the business relationship, right? And I don't think either of those are right or wrong, but ideally, you don't want to be butting heads with someone who's like, this guy messed up once, I need to cut him now. I'm like, no, man, have a relationship with this person. You have to give people an opportunity to grow into things as well. So, yeah, I think that becomes the important thing, that value systems must match when you're working with someone.
Knox has a lot of investors.
Knox does have a few investors, so we have raised a couple of rounds.
Okay.
Gyms are an expensive business, even though our business model is very much focused on keeping costs down, which is why we focus on smaller spaces.
Yeah.
Right. Focus on the aesthetic, focus on the quality of training provided, rather than relying on the space to pull in people. You rely on the the programming, the training, what you're providing to pull in the people. But yeah, it's still, I mean, if you want to open even a smallish space, you're still going to be looking at around, 2.5 crores you're going to be spending to build a space. And that is the space of, let's say, 3,000 square feet, 3,500 square feet. So you're going bigger than that, it's a very, very expensive ordeal. So we have, picked up. Luckily for us, most of our investors are within our community.
Yeah.
Right. So I think those are the easiest people to bring on board, because they understand our vision. They're a part of our vision.
Yeah. They see value.
They see value, right? They come into the space, they are directly receiving the value that we deliver. And for us, that is just the greatest validation that you can get, that people who are coming to our space, who see the inner workings of how we operate more than anyone else on the outside, they are the ones who are wanting to invest money in us. It's a thing of great pride. We're like, hey, thanks for backing us, because they're already paying us for their session fee, and now they're giving us more money. We're like, you must really love us, which is great validation for us that we've created something that you guys like so much.
Yeah, and yeah, they also believe in Knox and the concept and the whole space that you're trying to build out. So that's great. And I'm assuming then conversations like the ones you talked about, you need to be very transparent at the start. I think that would have been easier, relatively easier in this sort of a case when there are people from your community who are investing in. So it's for the founders, it becomes easier to, keep things together and keep things transparent, right?
Yeah, we don't have to sell anything, right? It's like, what am I going to tell you about this that you don't already know? You're coming to the space, you're looking at what we're doing, you're deriving value from it, and you're making the judgment call that other people could also derive the same value from what we're getting. That there is something about this, what these guys are doing, that's bringing me back again and again. And I know if other people experience it, they will also keep coming back again and again. So why not do it? And nobody gives you money out of pity. That doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
People give you money when they think that what you're doing is of value.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great for us that is the case, and
Hmm.
we get to be transparent because we didn't have to say anything. It's all almost understood, right? You just kind of put some numbers on a spreadsheet and say, hey, these are the additional things, but that's not why you're investing. You're investing because you spend time with us, you like what we're doing.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Interesting. When I think of this from a business perspective, as you mentioned, 3,000 square feet space, you're looking at putting in at least 2.5, 3 crores.
You can do it for less. You can do it for less. You can optimize and do it for less if you build the right relationships. But yeah, I would say for 3,500 square feet at 1.5 to 2, at least you're looking at. Yeah.
But becomes a barrier for entry then for people.
So,
Of course, it should and it will when you're building something out. But I mean, what I'm essentially trying to say is, I'll also give you the benefit of saying that you're in the right place to build that out, right? You're in Delhi, right? People, you have these people coming in, and I think what I'm essentially trying to say is, you found the right product market fit where there are people who want to come to Knox, and there is a set market for you to actually think about investing that. What I was trying to think in my head is that, what would I want to tell an entrepreneur who's who wants to say start something in the wellness space but isn't very sure of how they'll bring in the capital? What do you say to someone like that?
see, bringing in the capital, let's stick to fitness, right? I'm a fitness coach. I love fitness.
Yes.
I want to build a gym, right? I want to build a physical space. Because I've actually seen a couple of guys do it, right? Like I had a couple of guys on my Instagram. I think one guy launched a space. I can't remember where he was located, but like in a smaller town, much significantly smaller town, launched his own space, right? Uh, the way how you kind of a lot of people can do it at the start is, one is you bring other fitness partners on board, right? That is the first thing you'll do, is you'll be like, hey, I'm a trainer, right? I'll find one or two, three other trainers, because as a solo trainer, it's very difficult to run a space as well.
Right.
I mean, because it's just going to be you. How many sessions are you going to take? You can't be there all day, right? So I would first say you try and find those, that one or two people that you can work with, and we come back to the value statement part of it.
Right.
The second part of it is, who are the people who are going to come into the gym first, right? You are a trainer, you've been training for a while. You have 10, 15, 20 clients, right? You have to pick a space. You have to ask those people, hey, what, like, would you come here and train? And this is what I'm planning to charge you, right? Do I have my first 10 to 15 people through the door? You establish that. Then you start to look to those 10 to 15 people, ideally, that, hey, would you like to invest? I'm trying to create a physical space. Right now, I'm coming to your house. We're working out in this space, but I will build a space where we can do so much more, right? So you tap into that community, and hopefully they are going to be the first few people who are going to help you, because those are going to be your biggest fans, right? It does the kind of relationship that a coach has with their client. Very few people have that in an individual's life, right? If I'm training you personal training, or if I'm training you, I mean, any form of training, I'm spending at least 3 to 4 hours of concentrated time with you, right? You have a personal relationship with all of these people who work with you, and they keep coming back to you, month on month, year on year, because they believe in you, right? So if amongst that there are the kind of people who have the net worth, or the kind of power to support you, in all likelihood they will support you, because they also stand to gain from it. They'll have a physical space where they can go work out. So I think, as someone who's starting out, if you've never trained a person in your life before, then I would strongly recommend first you build that expertise, unless you have a lot of money to kind of figure it out through other people as you go. Because only when you spend, a year or 2 years training people, you want to understand what training involves, what is the mental, like what you as a coach go through mentally, right? When you're building a training relationship, what you expect from training, and then you can build a concept around that, right? So first, you're brand new, you love fitness, you've never trained people before, start by reaching out to people. You can do online. I still think going to people's houses might be the best first approach. Do that for 2 years, build that relationship. Hopefully you get the kind of clientele who's able to invest in you and help you build a physical space. Otherwise, obviously, the traditional routes, you can go for debt or whatever. But I think this organic route really helps, because if you have those first 10 to 15 people, which is what worked for Knox, the first 20 to 30 people who walked through the door built the next 200 people who walked through the door. So have those ready before you're ready to build your physical space.
So the answer essentially to that is,
create sheer value for a very a handful of people, correctly. Trust what your value is. Hear people out. Hear them say that, yes, this is something valuable that you're creating. And then try and, not necessarily leverage that, but try to get them together in terms of meet that need, right? Meet that need that you've now kind of put across to them, which is how you start any business, right? Like it's the same principle. You're just now articulating it in the terms of a fitness studio, but you have to satisfy the need of a small group of people, right? Figure out how you can really fix a problem for them or provide them immense value, right? And then be like, hey, like what more do you need from this? Are you willing to help me give you more of this? And you grow from there. Simply put. Yeah. Help me understand right now, status quo. How big is Knox in terms of clients? You have two studios. I think one is. We have two studios. We have around, I think, over 300, like close to 350 active clients that go between both studios. A large chunk of them were personal training clients, but in Gurgaon, we have a group class set up as well. So that becomes slightly different and that increases the volume of people that are coming through. So yeah, between both studios, we have around 350 people. Um, in terms of like what is, let's say, an average order value of someone. So let's say if I'm coming to do PTs at Knox, most people will be on a 30 session package. They're paying anywhere between 2,500 to 3,000 per session that they walk in. If I am going for our group classes, I'm paying anywhere like 6 to 7,000 rupees per month for unlimited sessions. But basically, it comes out to the vast majority of people don't come every day, right? So they're coming 12 times a month. So you can do the math on what that is a cost per session that people end up doing. But that is kind of, the range of what people end up paying us. Luckily for us, our retentions have been very, very good. So people who've been coming to us from day one are still coming to us, a lot of them. So it's a great business in terms of it's decent revenue, it generates cash, it's recurring because very few people come once a week. People come 3 times a week at least, right? Because if I want to get fit, I have to work out. I want to train at least 2 to 3 times a week. So yeah, that's how kind of the smaller economics part of it work. Thanks for getting that in. Now essentially I wanted to understand as a founder, you built this. It's been since 2021, I think you started, as you said, in COVID. Yeah, so it started in COVID. And there are 4 of us co-founders who kind of run and build the business together. Right. And you all were sort of friends, knew each other since the start? So actually, of the 4 of us, I was the one who knows the others the least. So 2 of them were school friends. Okay. And then one person, he came in before me as well. He has a finance background, so he came into the fray. Right. And in addition to just, the promoters the 4 of us who are managing the business, a number of the original trainers are also founding members, right? They, like I said, it was not a gym that came together, it was a collective. And they are all equally as founders as any of us will ever be, right? They, some of those trainers brought in the first 10 to 15, 20 clients who actually built the base for what Knox is. And earlier when we started there initially for the first, whatever X amount of months, there wasn't even a hierarchy. It was just, we were just doing things, right? Everyone was contributing almost equally. And then once we started to reach a certain scale of number of clients that we had, we're like, okay, now we need to organize ourselves a little bit better to structure things. So at that stage is when we're like, okay, fine, 4 of us will take on responsibilities of managing, and the other guys who were some of the founding members, you guys focus on training and drive that forward. And yeah, they definitely did that, which is kind of why we're at where we're at now. So in terms of like, that's why with Knox, I don't like to say like we're founders, we're a founding team. There's a bunch of us. And because we're such a strong founding team of people who are dedicated to this, of people who are passionate about fitness, but also passionate about building brands. So one of my co-founders is Aman. He's built Keventers. Another one is Kanav, who's in a finance background. So he's an investment banker. So he's been around this space. Joel is, he's a a civil engineer. He's built, hundreds of Skiventer stores. And then the training team is just the most passionate training team that there is. So with these collective minds, the scope of what we can create within the space of fitness, I think is just, the potential is very, very exciting. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to go to when I asked you that where you're at right now. Do you have a vision in place that we're at? Not just in terms of say number of studios. I think that's not a good metric for a boutique
Correct.
brand like Knox to say that I want to open 100 stores. No, that
Correct.
can make sense. What is your perspective of scaling or the vision that you have for Knox?
Okay. So in terms of how we want to go about scaling, we don't want to do it exactly the way we've built the first two stores.
Okay.
You learned a lot from this. What we've understood is our expertise is one, of course, setting up a space and operating it well.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what we've managed to do in 4 years is build a really strong brand in fitness, in that we understand training and we understand fitness.
Yeah.
Now, in order to always raise money to build stores is just not viable, right? It's too expensive an ordeal that, hey, we'll raise money and then we'll build more and we'll raise money and we'll build more. We don't want to go down that cycle. The way we're looking to scale now is to work not exactly towards a franchisee model, because I think a very insightful experience that Aman had with his Kiventus days is that going pure franchisee is a little bit of a dodgy thing. Like, quality really drops and managing operations becomes really, really tough. So now we're really looking at pushing a franchisee owned but a company operated model. So yeah, so the FOCO model, and what we're looking to do is tie up with spaces that match our vibe, that match certain requirements that we have of them, and we will go set up a Knox for them. We will operate that Knox for them, and that kind of it becomes our way to expand. Because what we are really good at is managing studio operations, running a gym well, building an aesthetic space, and building communities. Yeah. Right. And a lot of the newer wellness spaces and fitness spaces that are coming up, that is the piece of the puzzle that they don't know how to solve. Right. They're like, okay, fine, we'll buy all this equipment and we'll put nice equipment and we'll put it in the gym, and we'll get some trainers and we'll put them in the gym. But how am I going to really provide value is when I have when I have first, like, high quality training, like the best training around, and I have communities around my gym. So that is what we've understood, and that is the idea now, that we can utilize the skill set that we have of operating gyms and building communities and take that to other people, because people don't know how to do that for themselves. They know how to physically create a gym, but they don't know how to create like a vibe and a space, that third space where people want to come and they want to interact. So if you're building a wellness space, and if you're building a wellness space, you're going to have a fitness studio as a part of it. We want that studio to be a Knox studio.
So it's not essentially. So you're essentially bringing a Knox studio alongside a wellness space, or alongside a space that's happening, or it can either be a whole Knox studio that you make.
It can also be a whole Knox studio. Again, it'll be, where are we placing this? Who is it that wants to interact with us, right? Ideally, we would like to be in a wellness space, because that gives uh, a lot more. So let's say I have a Knox studio with a pickle courts, and I have a great spa and wellness center, and I have other services that I can provide. We become that piece of the puzzle of the entire wellness concept. And the thing is, we're already tying up with people who can help us build the entire concept. Right. So if you're someone who's like, hey, I actually have a space and I want to build an entire like fitness wellness concept around it, we can bring the pickle courts for you. We have the connects for that. We can set up the gym for you. We can set up a group class studio for you. We can even set up the entire wellness zone for you. Right. I think even the Sunrise Social, all of the therapies are born out of that as well, right? That people should see that we understand this, we have the right partners, we work with the best, we have Jaguar Wellness on board, right? And they make the best wellness products in India. So we of course, right now people know us for gyms, but as we move and we keep building more of these, the idea is to be associated with wellness and wellness spaces, so that we're not just plugging in a Knox, but ideally we're plugging in the entire wellness piece for you guys.
Will that also be, do you think, coming forward in, I mean, we're talking maybe a few years down the line. I don't know how far that is, but then do you see every Knox studio be a part of the wellness space?
Correct. So, see, what is fitness, right? Uh, I can go to a gym and I can hammer out workouts, but if I'm not recovering well from it, right, I'm not going to get the benefits of it. For us, it's very, very clear that fitness is a piece of the puzzle of wellness, right? And we want it to be that going forward. Yes, till now we've operated as a fitness studio, but at our core, our ethics and whatever, our fundamental value is that training should be about feeling good, not just about looking good or looking jacked in the gym or having abs or anything like that, right? And in order to feel good, it needs to fit into this larger puzzle of what you're doing. If you come into the gym and smashing yourself, but you're not sleeping, like we talked about earlier, right? You're not really improving the quality of your life significantly, right? If you're going to, I'm sorry to shit on you like this last minute, but if you're going to run at 11:30 and then lose sleep because of that, like, is that run really worth it? Right? Maybe you're better off not doing the run and just sleeping and figuring out other ways to exercise in your day, right? Maybe like when you're sitting at your desk at your consulting job, you get a 20-minute break and you go out and do 10 push-ups every 2 hours. You might get more out of that if you then you go home and you sleep well. So we always want the fitness that we provide to be positioned in a way that is leading to overall wellness, right? So yes, of course you can have a standalone gym, but the education that we're going to provide in that gym will be about what you need to do outside of here as well, right? But ideally then if you're going to plug into spaces, it should be a wellness space, right, where you're getting the entire, like, plethora of services or that you require. And you don't actually require all the services, right? But when you create an ecosystem for wellness, then people are more likely to fall into that ecosystem and do the activities that are required. Right. If I have a doctor when I walk into the space, and if my coach trains me and he constantly tells me about how important sleep is, at some stage that's going to register.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that is kind of why, even though it could be separate, ideally we would like it to be in the right spaces, surrounded, attracting the right kind of community, with the right kind of facilities and services around.
You've Tell me a little bit about some of the partnerships you've already done moving forward in this way, just to give me more perspective.
So in terms of FOCO partnerships right now, there's nothing in terms of what I can tell you that has happened.
Okay.
They're all like works in progress that will, once they're out, will then be revealed.
Of course.
Yeah. So this is a direction that we've taken relatively recently, in terms of how we want to go about it, because we just had to have a sit down and be like, we can't just keep raising funds every time we want to open new spaces, right? It's just not the way we want to grow the company. So post that conversation, we're like, it has to be a better way to do this, and this is kind of the better way we've brainstormed. And you'll have the first glimpses of it relatively soon. You should have some concepts where you'll be able to go check it out and see what we're doing now.
Nice. I would love to go someplace closer than Udyog Bhavan and experience.
They might not be in Delhi. Who knows? Yeah. Well, that's
But
yeah.
ठीक है नहीं, I think that good to have that excitement plugged in. People will anticipate in terms of what that will be. Ishan, my perspective of understanding Knox, understanding the wellness space, knowing what opportunities exist is fulfilled, first of all. I mean, I'm a happy camper sitting here right now because I wanted to understand what Knox is, the way that you're operating right now, what your vision is, and essentially bringing that into the whole informative element of ideas in the wellness space, right? I think we've covered that. Now, as you mentioned, right, I've recently started running. How's your now? Now I'm talking to the runner in Ishan. Walk me through your journey of running. How did it start? And then how did you progress? How did you then started to um, improve your times, gain speed, and what are the things that you'll keep doing that helped you get where you are today?
Perfect. Now I get to talk about fitness and running actually. Like the business part is over. Okay, fine. So, there's something very funny that people always say is like, when you start running, what are you running from? I feel like for a lot of people, it is something or the other that ends up, like leading to you wanting to start running. I was no different. Also, there was, whatever was going on in my life at the time. And I found a degree of solace in the act of forward movement. So, my one thing that really calms my mind down is a walk, and then a run just becomes a better walk in terms of clearing my head. So I started running purely for that hey, the activity itself clears my head. I think maybe it's because running at the start is such a miserable feeling that you're so focused on the misery of what's happening to you that you forget about your internal chaos. But that's how it started, and I sucked at running my entire life. It was one sport I never did because I just was not good at it. And then as I started getting into it, one thing that really helped was we created the Knox Run Club.
Yeah.
And that kind of became a community that drove me towards running. So what started off as that little hobby that, I just was using as a mental sort of clearing my head activity, then became a community activity, which made it even more fun. Then as a community, all of us were like, hey, let's run a half marathon, let's train for that. So when Knox Run Club started, we were running a 5K on Saturdays. Then that 5K became a 10K, then that 10K became a 15K.
Wow.
And as a collective, we were all able to grow in terms of our running ability. So the first half marathon I kind of ran was a very ad hoc, like just we'll figure it out way. But there was a system to the madness. So that time I made my own training program, and I used to run 3 times a week. I would do like an easy run on Mondays, and that time also is hot. So sometimes you use a treadmill, sometimes you run outside. But I would run, let's say, 7-8 kilometers. Then on a Wednesday, I would do like a high intensity session where that time I was using something called a Norwegian 4x4 method.
Okay.
So by that method basically is you have to go hard for 4 minutes. You pick a pace which you can just about sustain for 4 minutes, and then you take a 4 minute recovery and you do 4 rounds of that. Or you take a shorter recovery as well. You can change the recovery period and you repeat that 4 times. And that's supposed to help drive your VO2 max up. So when you're running, you kind of want to look at two ends of what you're working on. One is your low, easy runs where you're running at a very comfortable pace, which is often referred to as conversational pace, where I can talk while I'm running.
Yeah.
The idea of that is to accumulate mileage without much damage.
Yeah.
And then you have your other sessions where you're kind of working on pushing your VO2 max, because the higher your VO2 max, the longer you are able to sustain high effort running, right? So what a lot of people get wrong about running is they tend to do a lot of their training in the middle zone, right? Where I'll just go out onto run and I'll be like, okay, fine, aaj main 5K bhagunga and I need to run it as fast as possible, right? And you hope that you try to run it as fast as possible, and over time it'll get faster, and it will, right? It's like going to the gym and a newbie does whatever they want at the gym to get better.
Yeah.
But you get a lot more from training at the upper and lower ends rather than training in the middle end, right? And this is true for actually a lot of forms of training. So it's a good concept to keep in mind, right? Because when you're training in the middle, you're not getting the benefits of the VO2 max training or the easy runs, right? If I'm running in the middle, I'm creating damage to my body, right? But it's not hard enough that I'm getting the benefits of VO2 max. So I still have to take a break, and I still haven't got the maximum benefit out of it. So ideally, split your runs into easy runs and your your hard effort runs.
Okay.
So that can be your 2 runs, and then comes probably the most important part of any run as any running training is your long run. Um, and the purpose of the long run, again, is to accumulate mileage for the week. So when I was training for my half marathon, like I said, my runs went from 5 kilometers up to 18 kilometers. And I would look to increase my mileage for my long run by like 2 to 3 kilometers every 2 weeks. Right. So every 2 weeks, that 5 became 7, 7 became 9. And I gradually worked my way up to 18. And 18 was the longest run I did before my half marathon. Since then, I've had a coach. She does a really good job helping me prepare for my actual full marathon, which I'm running tomorrow. So I really enjoyed that as well. Haven't worked with a coach in a while. And it was nice to just like forget about training and just have someone else handle that for you. Like she uploads my workouts on an app. I get it on an app. It feels very cool and scientific. Uh, but all it was the structure of my running stayed quite similar. It's just that it became 4 days of running, where again 2 of those runs would be easy. One of those runs would involve either like a tempo, but a hard effort. Basically, one run would involve like a hard effort where I'm pushing the pace, and then again a weekend long run that would be that gradually got longer and longer. My longest run being 32 kilometers, which I did 2 weeks ago. So that's the broad structure of how at least running training works. If you're someone who just wants to start running, maybe this is a little bit too much information for you, right? So what I'll tell that person who's never run before, who just wants to go out, I would say start with 3 to 5 kilometers, depending on what your existing fitness level is, right? Aim to run that at an easy pace, right? Like at a conversational pace. And if that requires you to stop and walk ever so often, that's no problem. Cool. Right? If you're running and you're losing your breath, stop, catch your breath, walk a few steps, and then start running again. And try and build up to first that 5K you're able to sustain and run through it at an easy pace. Wherein, if I'm running with someone, I can talk to them. It's a good sort of metric. Then you can sort of increase that distance. Maybe you can add a second day of running, right? It depends on how much time, obviously, you have to contribute to it. But start building on what I talked about then. But for complete newbie, that's exactly it. Just start easy, right? Don't try and go out and run as fast as possible. It's not. It's probably not the best approach.
Got it. I'm taking the learnings away from me being, I'm also somewhere hitting the 5K mark. And I think this is a good practice for someone like me also to follow who's doing the 3 to 5.
Correct.
With a conversational pace.
Yeah.
So do 2 easy runs.
2 easy runs and bring in two.
High tempo or hard.
Just one hard run. It's
One hard.
perfectly fine, right?
Sure.
One hard run, there's multiple ways to do a hard run. You can do like 2 kilometers easy, 2 kilometers hard, and then like a 1 kilometer cool down. You could do the 4x4 method. You can just play around and find a method that requires you to put in. And when you're working on this kind of high intensity effort, you want the duration of it to be a minute or longer. Right? When people end up doing HIIT, they'll often do 20, 30 seconds for pushing or driving your VO2 max up, which is what you're trying to do with your harder efforts. At least my best understanding of it is that you want to do a slightly more sustained hard effort. So rather than trying to go 90 to 100% for 20 seconds, try and go 85 to 90% for 3 to 4 minutes, so that when you reach the fourth minute, then you're maxing out. Right? And that really, at least I saw a lot of gains with my VO2 max and when I was doing that style of training. As the Norwegian 4x4 method is what the Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who's just broken all the world records in shorter distance running, has utilized. So it's one of the most popular, most effective methods to do it.
Got it. So simply put, easy runs accompany that with a hard
effort run.
4 minute ideally.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing the 5K, you should be able to sustain that.
Correct.
Bring in at 85-90%, but go a little.
Yeah. So like, I mean, you should, if you're planning a 5K, your hard effort should be, at least, let's say 600, 700 meters. It should last, so you're pushing the pace for 500, 600 meters and then pulling back from there. You should do a few of those bouts.
Understood. A challenge that I was thinking of, as you run often, you also run often in the open.
Right.
What do you do about AQI when you're running?
Yeah. So what do you do about AQI, right? The fact of the matter is breathing in that air particularly harmful if I'm running in it? Yes, because when I'm running, my respiratory rate is higher. I'm passing more of the PM 2.5 particulate matter through my lungs. The more I'm passing through, the more my lungs are absorbing, the worse it is for me. Simple as that. Um, I also realized that that's why running is not necessarily, at least when you're running in the winters or in Delhi, a health activity, right? It's a passion activity. I got into running because I enjoy running. And sometimes when I go out, when the AQI is not great, I'm going into it fully understanding that I'm harming myself in some ways. Yes, I'm improving my cardiovascular fitness, but I'm harming myself in a lot of ways as well. So you do your best to work around it, right? If you're not training for a race and you can be flexible, try and run on a treadmill. Nobody likes that though. It's not fun. It's not fun, right? So what principles and rules that I set for myself, and actually wrote a newsletter on like how people should go about managing themselves around pollution. It was I set a rule. I check the AQI before I go for a run. Uh, Make sure set up like a threshold. Like if AQI is above this, I'm not running outside. I set that at 200, which is a pretty high number. But if it's anything less than that, I would never be running, right? So there was no choice. And if it was above 200, then I would run on a treadmill. And I'll give you an example. Like one day, I think the AQI in Delhi was going pretty well for a few days. I had a morning run and I kind of woke up late. So without checking the AQI, I left. And as I was driving to Manila, I looked it out, and then there was a bunch of smog. And I was like, it seems a little bit worse today, but now I'm committed. I did my run. I came back. I think the AQI was like 480 or something that day. Like it just suddenly jumped up. Really? And then I was sick for 3 days. So weird. And I never get sick. Like I rarely ever get sick, but I got me sick. Right? So it's do that AQI check in the morning. Be smart about it. If you have to run indoors on a treadmill, you have to run indoors on a treadmill, but you don't have to run, right? I don't think running is for everyone. I don't think everyone needs to run. I do it because I enjoy it. There are other ways to get cardio health benefits than running. So if you are not into running and you're a Delhiite, maybe pick a different sport. And I'm going to be indoors a little bit longer because that AQI is the seats probably.
हाँ जी. Unfortunately, conversation थोड़ी cut short हो गई, थोड़ी technical difficulty आ गई थी हमारे end पे. But hoping that you also learned a lot as much as I did. I hope you also made a lot of notes on what can be potential startup ideas and a lot of other learnings that Ishan shared. Comments में feedback ज़रूर share करना, and make sure you subscribe if you like what you watched, and we'll come back with another one soon. Thank you so much. Bye.